everyone, my name is Kendra and I'm one of the registered veterinary technologists here at the Marine Mammal Rescue Center. And today we're going to take you around, show you some of our patients and answer some of your questions. So with me I have Dr. Marty Helena, and he is going to take us through to our newest patient, or our newest sea otter patient, Tofino, and we'll answer some of your questions.
Hey everybody, good morning and thanks for joining us. Let's have a look at the start of the show. Follow me. Not in the bathtub. Going into our, what usually is our hospital treatment area, surgery, but has now been converted into the domain of Her Royal Highness Tofino, who's under 24-hour care still. Looks like just came out of the pool. Emily here, our assistant manager here at the Vancouver Aquarium Marine Mammal Rescue Center, is doing the fluff and puff.
Fluff and puff.
And doing the fluff and puff. So super important for these guys, for sea otters to have a perfect hair coat. And we have our own team of professional hair coat developers here. And Emily kind of is one of the leaders of that. So Tofino just came out of the pool, as I said. That hair coat needs to be perfect, as I said. So dry, groom, comb. You can see she's starting to help us, which is awesome, right? So she's starting to work that hair coat on her own. She's starting to blow air into the hair coat, puff it up. That's what this fan is for. Normally, these guys have essentially a dry coat or a dry suit on all the time, right? So the hair is so close together that water actually doesn't touch their skin. That's how they insulate. No blubber like seals. That hair coat is everything to them. So it needs to be perfect. Do we have any questions from out there?
Yeah, it looks like, how old do we think Tofino is?
We think she's about 6 weeks of age. Normally these guys would spend almost 6 months with their mom. Again, super intensive. She's eating a lot, probably 25 to 35% of her body weight in formula every day. She's gaining a lot of weight. 6 weeks for now. Right now, it's going to be a process.
And Marty, can you tell us how sea otter pups keep their coats dry in the wild?
Yeah, so mom is such a great mom. So in the wild, sea otter pups rely 100% on mom to keep their coat perfect. So they don't have quite the dexterity and the flexibility. They have this really, really puffy kind of sea otter pup coat as well. So it's really mom. Mom's doing a lot of that grooming for them, blowing air under that hair coat, fluffing it up, and keeping it perfect.
At what age will she get a more adult coat?
I think most often we see them start getting that hair coat at about 2 months of age. By 3, it's pretty much an adult dark coat that you might be more familiar with.
Perfect. Someone would like to know if they would get an infection of any type if water does get to their skin.
Excuse me. Not so much of an infection if it's just water. But what happens is they'll lose insulation very quickly. It's been estimated even if they lose 5% of their hair coat, they will not be able to thermoregulate in cold ocean water.
Someone would like to know, is she as soft as she looks, or do otters have more of a coarse fur?
She's actually feels like a sandpaper spiky. No, she is absolutely bleeding. Very weird. No, she is probably softer than you actually think. These guys have just about the densest hair coat out of any species, and it is fluffy and soft and awesome. Oh, she likes that. That's the spot.
Oh, yeah.
That's the spot.
What is she currently eating and how often?
She is eating, for the most part, a specialized sea otter formula that is based on a commercial carnivore replacer, so something that might be fed to other types of carnivores that might be orphans, like wolves or raccoons, that kind of thing. But we do modify that quite a bit, essentially adding a lot more oil to it, and some essential nutrients as well, vitamins, minerals. And that's pretty much what it is. However, she is starting to wean on us to a certain extent. So she is eating some clam as well, just as a supplement, and she loves it. Her teeth are coming in.
There's a couple questions in regards to her swimming and her diving. Is she doing a better job at that? I know last time she was still kind of leaning to one side and getting a little bit waterlogged. So how's that going?
That is progressing. So she's a puppy, and she's not, not able to really do everything as yet. But she's trying hard, and certainly she's starting to get that sea otter flip, I call it, where they kind of dive and then put their hind flippers up and really push down. She's starting to get it. Not awesome yet.
Next question is here. How much does she sleep right now?
Oh boy, a lot.
11 hours a day.
Yeah, at least 11 hours a day. So she's on about a 3.5 hour cycle right now. And out of that, so getting fed about every 3 to 3.5 hours. And I would say out of that, she's sleeping almost half the time, or at least a third of the time.
I think we've got quite a few Joey fans on here, so a lot of people are wondering what her chances of release are, or would she potentially go to the aquarium or an aquarium?
Well, right now she's Canada's animal, so she's under the jurisdiction of the Canadian Department of Fisheries and Oceans, and we work under license from them. We're in charge of her medical and husbandry care, but any determination on releasability is made by them. And historically, unfortunately, because of all this intensive kind of care that the otter needs, because of all the things that she'd normally learn from her mom, like where to forage, how to use tools, what kind of food to eat, and how to escape predators, we can't teach that. So historically, dependent pups of this age have not been considered super great release candidates. However, there are some super great homes for these guys, and obviously the Vancouver Aquarium is one of those. We currently have 8 sea otters in our facility. All of them have started out life as an orphan pup somewhere in the Pacific.
A few questions about the same thing. What does she smell like?
She doesn't have an odor.
No, it's so
like her body doesn't.
no, and actually she doesn't smell hardly of anything, and the reason for that, or a large reason for that, is these guys are a mustelid, so that means that they're related to things like weasels and mink and river otters and skunks even. So species that we actually associate with real heavy smells because they have these musk glands. But sea otters are the only members of that group of animals that doesn't have a scent gland. And it makes them real sense to have that. So they don't want to get any kind of oil on their fur, but really rely on that for the perfect oil to damage that. And there's no need to mark in the ocean because it would just go away.
Thank you. Does she have a favorite toy right now?
I think mostly my fingers seem to be a favorite to chew on, but she loves her ice, like ice treats, and these guys have been freezing toys inside, ice blocks, and I think right now that seems to be the thing I've seen her really go for.
Can you tell us a little bit about her teeth and how many that she has right now?
Well, how many? That's a good question. She probably has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's find out. All of her teeth are coming in. They're all in there. They're still a bit small, but yeah, they're certainly coming in. I don't know if she knows to show us. She probably does.
Feel around in there, buddy.
I think everyone's good at
I think so.
I think she hates everyone equally.
Yeah.
No, she's pretty awesome, and as long as you're providing everything that she demands, you're her favorite at that moment in time. But, she's very fickle.
Sorry guys, we're just turning the fan off so you can hear us all a little bit better. Hopefully that works. Let us know if it doesn't. How long does it take to fully dry her?
Well, it depends on how good you are. For Emily, it takes about 3 hours, but for most folks,
Just like to draw it out, yeah.
yeah. What, it was about 20 minutes to fully dry her out, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they work upwards of an hour, though, if she falls asliep on the table.
Oh,
They'll
you
just
keep
keep
going?
working
Yeah.
on, like, the trouble spots. So here, down at the base of her tail, kind of in between her flips, her armpits.
Wow.
Yeah. But everything else dries really quickly.
Okay. How deep are her pockets? Or does she have pockets yet?
She does. They're not super well developed yet, but you want to show them where her pockets are?
She says no, they're private.
Nope. And they're private and they're ticklish. So yeah, but they're starting to form, so you can kind of see. Yeah.
Another question. Joey, he meeped and made a lot of sounds when he was here. How is her meeping in comparison?
Probably not as vocal as Joey overall. She's definitely a bit quieter, but she does have some really adorable noises that she makes. You can maybe now with the fan off, we can pick up on them a little bit more. Little grunts and squeaks, and yeah, definitely lets us know what she wants.
Is she biting? Does she try to chew on staff?
Yeah, I think again mostly me for some reason, but yeah, she's just like any other mammal that's getting teeth. She wants to chew on things. It's how she explores her world and how she develops that ability to crunch through things. So yeah, no, she's biting on a lot of stuff.
How many members of staff, and I'll add volunteers, are taking care of her right now, and how many hours in rotation?
Oh boy, so it's about a 3.5 hour cycle. Our staff are here 8-hour shifts usually.
Yep.
And we do have a dedicated staff person just for the sea otter, and they are assisted by at least 2 volunteers. So there are 3 people on around the clock with this otter.
We have a couple repeat questions. I think some people are just joining.
Yep.
Can you let us know again how old we think she is?
Yeah, we think she's probably about 6 weeks old, just over 6 weeks. She's been with us since the 18th of June, well, 19th of June technically.
And another one, this is a good one. Will the baby teeth fall out?
No, these are her permanent teeth coming in.
Amazing. Another repeat one. How old are they when they start developing their adult fur?
So it starts around 2 months of age, where that really fluffy pup coat starts to turn into that darker sea otter coat that most people are a little bit more familiar with. Probably by 3 months, they're fully dark and have that adult coat.
No, you can't have that. Sorry.
And she's floating a little bit better than she was the last time we watched her. Is that correct?
She's a pretty good floater. I'm not sure what, maybe someone caught her just in an awkward water-slogged moment, but she floats pretty great. Yeah, she's like a bit of a cork.
That's perfect. Is she grooming herself?
She certainly is, and you can actually see it right now. So she's working it, and she likes, she definitely goes for the problem areas. Looks like she wants to bite Emily. Everybody does, so I get it. Yeah, she's starting to do a little bit on her own. She's not awesome at it.
Does she like towels like Joey did? We know he loved his towels.
Well, that's a good question, Emily. I don't know. Does she?
Every once in a while, she notices your grooming towel, but
yeah, not like Joey.
I haven't
Joey kind of like grabbed him.
She's not like a wiggler yet, like Joey was either. So,
as a baby, is there a special way to clean her, or does she require any cleaning?
Well, the saltwater baths are the primary way to clean her. So sea otters are very well adapted to keeping that coat really clean. So, for example, she won't go to the bathroom unless she's in the water. So if she's in the water, she poops, and then it's really easy to clean her up, kind of like would happen naturally. That's about the biggest cleaning. Certainly you don't want to add any kind of oil, and conversely, you don't want to add any detergent, which would also ruin that waterproofing.
Does she have any favorite places to be groomed or scratched?
Well, that spot under that chin,
sure,
eh? Yeah, so that's definitely the spot. So right now, under the chin is a big one.
Does she have a playpen of some sort?
I wouldn't call it a playpen, but she does have her water bed. So it's kind of her 3 areas that she spends most of her time in are the grooming, the drying table where she is right now, the swim area, and then finally we have this kind of nursery setup, which is quite literally a water bed. There is a water-filled mattress underneath that to kind of simulate where she might be floating in the ocean, and that's where she sleeps most of the time.
Another question, is there any way she could get adopted by a mother sea otter?
There are some programs that have been somewhat successful in Monterey, for example, that have surrogate moms that can kind of adopt and then increase the chances of release. Not foolproof, but does increase the chance. We don't have a sea otter that's a good candidate for that here in Vancouver, unfortunately.
How often does she have pool time or get to go for swims?
So
wants.
whenever she wants, yeah, that's kind of the key. Whatever she wants, but she probably has a 20 to 30 minute swim every 3.5 hours or so.
Another repeat question for you, for everyone just joining. Is she eating solids yet?
What I should do is actually change my answer when there's a repeat.
Every time.
Confuse myself, and then people will know how my brain works. Or do I just make this up? Yeah, she is on a formula for the most part, but she is slowly now being introduced to solid food, and we're starting with clam, and she loves it.
This one I just have to say might be my favorite question yet, but I'm a little bit biased. Can we see the seal pups before you go?
Right, I know. And sometimes
Oh my
people
gosh, the
forget.
seals,
Yeah,
yes.
it turns out we have a whole hospital full of animals, even more than the sea otter. So, yeah, we'll definitely move over there in a bit.
Perfect. Will her hair change color?
Yeah, she'll at about starting around 2 months of age. This kind of fluffy light coat will change into a more dark brown, characteristic adult coat. And then, even more interesting, I suppose, is they start to yellow as they age. So, especially around the head, we call it grizzling. And the older a sea otter is, the more yellow kind of coloring starts to come up over and down the head and neck area.
How do you know when she wants to go for a swim?
Oh, she yells. How do you know anyone wants anything? She vocalizes and gets real antsy and definitely yells. So we know it's time.
And a similar question, how do you know when she needs to go to the bathroom?
Yeah, so I think that's usually what she's telling us when she's like, okay, getting real squirmy and real vocal. After she wakes up and after she eats, she says, okay, I want to go in the water, it's bathroom time.
Another question, why do sea otter flippers look like they're backwards? Like, why is the longest part on the outside with the big toe on the inside?
Well, they're not really. It's just that they hold them up backwards, right? So, because yeah, and then they use that giant flip to get going. Yeah.
At what point do sea otters mature?
Well, it's like asking, at what point will I mature? I don't know. People keep hoping. Around about 3 months of age, they start getting that adult coat. 6 months of age, they tend to be pretty close to full grown. Sexual maturity is around the 3-year mark for 3 to 4 years for males, probably 2 to 3 years for females. But as far as mental maturity, I don't know. We still have some naughty sea otters, so we had a few take it upon themselves to be a little extra naughty this past week, which was quite fun.
How big will she get, or when will she stop growing?
Female northern sea otters get to be about, we'll call it minimum 23 kilos up to 30 kilos. And that usually happens around the 2 to 3 year mark.
All right, I think it's time for my favorite part, which is to go check on the seals. So if you guys have any seal questions, start asking them now, and we'll go check out our patients.
Is that me as well?
Can be.
No. And I'll say goodbye to you guys at this point. Thanks very much for joining us, and thank you so much for your support. All this work couldn't be possible without you guys, and thank you so very much. You guys have been awesome.
All right, you guys are stuck with me now for a tour of our harbor seal patients. So we'll just go check out who we have. So this is our quarantine tent. All of the harbor seals spend 14 days in quarantine when they first arrive. So some of these guys have been here a little longer than that. So we'll start off with introducing you to Mittens. So Mittens has been here since June 23rd, and he's been doing great. He's actually just started weaning onto fish from formula, and he's doing a really good job in fish school, as we call it. How much weight do the baby seals gain each day? That depends. We weigh them about twice a week, so we track their weights quite closely. It depends on how small they are when they get here, but usually we see them going up anywhere from half a kilo a week to maybe a little bit more.
How long will the seals stay at the rescue center before being released?
That again depends on the seal, but we start off with our seals on a formula feed. They then get weaned onto fish and moved into a pool where they'll swim with other seals and compete for the fish, so they learn how to compete in the wild. And then from there, they need to hit a certain weight and have a full health check and blood work before they get released. So usually a couple months, maybe 3 months before they start going.
How often do you rescue seal pups this time of year?
Ooh, that is a great question. It honestly depends year to year. Yesterday, I think we rescued 3 in one day. We've already got a staff member out today picking up another one that was in need of some help. Some days we get more, some days we don't get any. It really just depends on what's going on. This here is Gustav. He is the second harbor seal pup that we rescued this summer, and he is also in fish school now. He was a teeny tiny little blonde guy when he first arrived with his premature Lanugo coat, and he has now shed that, most of it. He's still got a little bit of Lanugo pants at the very back, but he has turned into a beautiful little seal.
So the seals are out of the water right now. Can you explain to us why?
Yeah, so seals actually spend about 30% of their lives on land, and when these critical condition, we're 3 times a day. We swim. They'll officially be moved to a pool once they're eating fish all on their own.
Are any of them, are they all by themselves?
Yeah, so when they're in quarantine, they are all by themselves, just in case they're coming in with any sickness or illness that could be passed on to each other. Once they're eating fish on their own, they will be in with other seals in a pool.
What are they being fed right now?
So right now, most of them are being fed a milk formula. It's got fish oil in it, vitamins, and that is all blended up by our wonderful volunteers. And then when we wean them onto fish, we wean them onto herring. So they start with small amounts, and we sort of go back and forth with the formula and the fish over a few days until they're fully weaned onto fish. And here we have one of our newest admits with some of our staff and volunteers. And he's right now getting sub-Q fluids. So those fluids go under the skin and they help with hydration when they first get here and they're quite sick.
We're hearing a lot of sounds. What does the sound mean?
Yeah, so the baby harbor seals are quite vocal, a little bit different than the sea otter meets, but they all have their little sounds that they make. In the wild, they call out for mom. A lot of times here, I think they call out just to hear their own voices, but it's definitely some weird sounds around here.
Notice they have different names. What is the naming theme this year?
It's supporter themed, so right now we're naming the seals after supporters, and you can actually name one of the animals yourself. You can go to the link in the bio.
Thank you. Here we have Taku, one of our new admins as well.
Oh, we had a request for this seal. This is Salty C.
Salty C. Salty got here on July 4th. And Salty was found on Gonzales Beach on Vancouver Island. So this teeny tiny seal pup has already been on a plane in his little life.
Is it easy to tell the seals apart? How do you tell them apart?
That is a great question. They honestly do all look a little bit different. Some of them you'll see are light and speckly. Some of them are quite dark. Once they're out of their little tubs and they're in pools with other seals, we do tag them so we can tell them apart, and each tag is for a different seal. We also have little hat tags that go right on the top of their head, and those are just temporary tags, but they each have a different number on them, so if we need to identify them, we aren't guessing who has which freckle and trying to figure it out that way.
How much do the seals weigh?
Ooh, that is a great question. When they first get here, they tend to be anywhere from 6, 7, 8 kilograms. And when we release them, they're anywhere from 20, if not more, kilograms at their release weight. We'll take you over. Ignore him. We have one star pupil that is already eating fish on her own, and that would be Poppy. So Poppy has gotten her own pool already, and she is doing so great that she's got her whole pool just to herself. soon, once we get some other seals that are able to eat fish on their own, she will get a little buddy to go in with her. We're going to take a quick moment away from the seals to see that Tafina is having a little swim. So we'll check in on her.
Hoping she goes to sleep now. Quiet float.
Nice little float.
I could hear her screaming her things like literally. No words needed.
It's a very gorgeous day in Vancouver. It is quite warm out. The seals, when they're in pools together, don't always seem to care about each other. It depends on who's who and how many they have around them, but I don't really know if any of them ever bond. Tofi is trying her best to groom her little toes right now, and sometimes she does chew on them as well. She's very good at it. She's still learning. Sometimes they end up soggier than they were before, but she'll get there. Right now we've admitted 10 harbor seals so far this year, but the summer is still young.
What's on her?
We only have one sea otter here, so right now we've got the 10 harbor seals and one sea otter here at the rescue center.
Yeah, wants to be treated this year.
Yeah, so each year we treat anywhere from 100 to 150 different marine mammals throughout the year, and that does vary year to year, but that's sort of our average.
You're hungry.
Marty, we have a question how Moira is doing.
Moira, the sea turtle, she is doing pretty well. Certainly we have a few things to deal with. She's come around great, eating terrifically. She has some shell lesions that I'm a little bit concerned about. They're probably because of some ischemic necrosis, we call it. So when she was so cold, her blood wasn't circulating quite right. So I think little bits of her shell were actually not provided adequate nutrition for a long time. So those effects are starting to show, but we've got most of them under control. We're just waiting on permits from the American side, and then we'll be transporting her down south for her eventual release. So really happy with her progress.
Got another question for you, Marty.
Okay.
How come the baby harbor seals can be released, but the otters often can't be?
Yeah, so it's really just a biological thing. You know, their strategy to life is completely different. With harbor seals, super short lactation period, incredibly important, 3 to 5 weeks tops. And in that short period of time, they go from about 8 kilos to over 20, 25 kilos up to, which is huge. And so that bond is very, very important. If anything, wrecks that bond, of course, that's when we get involved. But so much of their learning is not really from mom. It's kind of hardwired. It's very, very instinctive, and they do it on their own. So as soon as they wean her at about 6 weeks of age, they turn into wild animals. Very different for things like sea otters and dolphins, for example, that do require a whole lot more maternal care. They're with their moms for a long period of time. In the case of these guys, 6 months to a year. With dolphins, sometimes years to properly learn stuff, and we just can't teach that stuff. And so they do get a little bit bonded to us because of the intensive care and the length of care that happens, and they don't learn those survival skills like they should. So very, very different strategy to learn.
Hi. Sorry, it's a little hard when someone's a bit noisy.
All right.
Someone was asking how quiet she was, and we're like, oh, she's very quiet until she doesn't get what she wants.
So we are wrapping up now. It's hit 9:30, which went by very quickly. That's a very soggy little patient. But we just wanted to thank you all genuinely for your support with Tofino, with our harbor seals so far this season, through your comments, through your donations. And for anyone wondering how they can support, if you'd like to support, check out the link in our bio. You can symbolically adopt the harbor seals and Tofino as well. And if you want to name one of the harbor seals, there's information on how to do that within our bio as well. And we really appreciate you joining us for our live today, Marty and I, and all the animals.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks so much.